Some battles never happened, but they should have. Not for conquest, not for blood, but for truth. Imagine a realm outside time, beyond borders, where gods do not rule over believers but stand eye to eye, each carrying the weight of a world, a people, a cosmic order. In this space, this mythology multiverse, three divine forces meet. Shiva, the Hindu god who dances the universe into destruction and rebirth. Ra, the Egyptian sun god, whose light is both shield and sword. And Ogun, the Yoruba deity of iron and war, whose forge built the tools of civilization and whose rage broke chains. This is not just a clash of power. This is a confrontation of meaning. These gods are not mere characters in distant myths. They are symbols of how different cultures understood life, death, justice, and the divine. Each carved a legacy so profound it shaped empires, traditions, and spiritual codes that survive thousands of years later. But what happens when their paths cross? Not in temples or texts, but in a metaphysical meeting where their true essences are laid bare. Would Ogun's hammer bend Shiva's cosmic dance? Would Ra's solar fire eclipse them both? Or would his order fracture before the raw energy of war and the wisdom of chaos? Who would speak first, the warrior, the creator, or the destroyer? And what truths would emerge when none of them can retreat into myth, when each must face the reflection of their own divinity in the other? This is the story of that meeting, the divine battle that never happened, but lives on in imagination, a tale not of victory, but of revelation. Because when gods meet, something greater than war unfolds, a mirror of the universe itself. Welcome to the myth that should have been. In the chill silence of Mount Kailash, where winds whisper only to those who can withstand solitude, sits a god unlike any other. Eyes half closed, limbs draped in ash, a serpent curled around his throat. Shiva does not speak often, but when he does, the universe listens. He is the destroyer, but not in the way mortals fear. His destruction is not chaos, it is rhythm, it is necessity. It is the sacred act of clearing the old so that the new may rise. In the great Hindu trinity, Brahma creates, Vishnu preserves, but Shiva, he transforms through destruction. Without him, time would stagnate. Without him, rebirth would be impossible. To understand Shiva is to understand paradox. He is both stillness and storm, both beggar and king. He lives outside of the palace, choosing instead the wilderness of mountains and cremation grounds. There, in the stark isolation of the Himalayas, he meditates, not in retreat, but in mastery. He watches the dance of galaxies and the flicker of dying stars, not as a passive observer, but as their final judge. When the time comes, he opens his third eye, not out of anger, but out of purpose. That eye does not see what we see. It sees truth so clearly that illusion cannot survive it. Cities, empires, lies, they burn beneath its gaze. Yet Shiva is not cruel. His destruction is mercy. He cuts away what no longer serves. He ends suffering not by comforting it, but by dismantling its root. His weapon is not a sword, but a rhythm, the Tandava. In this divine dance, he stomps time into submission. His foot crashes upon the demon of ignorance. His arms whirl through space, and each step is a cosmic command. When he dances, creation trembles, not because it fears him, but because it knows it must make room for change. Power to Shiva is not about domination, it is about detachment. He does not conquer to rule, he destroys to release. The one who holds the universe in a glance also lives with no possessions, no palace, no army. His strength lies in the fact that he needs nothing. That is why demons fear him. That is why gods call upon him. Because when Shiva rises from meditation, it means the cycle is ready to turn again. When war comes to Shiva, he does not greet it with rage. He greets it with inevitability. In ancient texts, when battles raged between gods and demons, it was Shiva who ended them, not with bloodlust, but with balance. He wielded the trident not as a weapon of conquest, but as a symbol of the threefold nature of reality: creation, preservation, and destruction. His presence on a battlefield was not for show, it was final judgment. When he entered the fray, it meant the time for diplomacy had ended, and the cosmos had decided it was time to cleanse. Shiva does not roar, he chants. He does not command with noise. He vibrates the universe with the sound of Om. In that sacred syllable lies the breath of all things: birth, life, death. That is his battlefield, energy itself. And so when we imagine Shiva facing another god, we must understand that he does not attack first. He waits. He watches. He lets his opponents show who they are. Then, and only then, does he respond with the unstoppable force of transformation. Even his rage is sacred. The stories speak of him destroying entire cities in seconds, but also of him calming with a glance, restoring worlds with his grace. He can reduce a demon to ash or grant immortality with the same hand. That duality is not confusion. It is the embodiment of balance. Shiva teaches that real power is not about having more. It is about needing less. That destruction is not cruelty. It is clarity. And that war is not for ego. It is for cleansing. If Ogun represents the hammer and Ra the light, Shiva is the fire between the two. He is the moment when old empires fall, not because they were defeated, but because they could no longer hold the truth. In any divine meeting, he arrives not to dominate, but to end what must end. And through that ending, to begin something new. This is the god of sacred dissolution, the yogi of galaxies, the dancer of time. And when he opens his third eye, not even gods dare to look. At the dawn of every day, as the golden edge of the sun cracks open the sky, an ancient journey begins once more. A bark of fire sails across the heavens, and aboard it rides Ra, the great solar deity of ancient Egypt. To the untrained eye, he is simply the sun, but to those who knew his name, Ra was far more than light. He was creation incarnate, order embodied, and king not just of gods, but of divine balance. His rise in the sky was not just the passage of time, it was the renewal of the world. Ra did not create with his hands, but with his essence. In Egyptian mythology, his light was life. It warmed the Nile, gave breath to crops, and brought clarity to the world. But creation for Ra was not a single act. It was a continuous effort. Every day as he sailed across the sky, he reaffirmed existence. And every night, he descended into the underworld, facing the eternal threat of Apep, the primordial serpent of chaos. This battle was more than myth. It was the symbol of the constant struggle between Mayat, cosmic order, and Isfet, unraveling disorder. Ra fought not for power, but for peace, for structure, for the survival of meaning itself. In this endless cycle, Ra revealed one of his deepest truths. Power must be disciplined. Authority must be earned and reaffirmed. Unlike gods who ruled by might alone, Ra ruled by illumination. He made truth visible. He cast light upon deception. Pharaohs traced their lineage to him not just to claim godhood, but to inherit the burden of maintaining order in a chaotic world. To be king in Egypt was to reflect Ra's light, to guide, to judge, to preserve harmony. Yet Ra was not distant. He traveled. In his solar bark, he moved through realms, heaven, earth, and Duat, the underworld. At night, he journeyed through shadow, where Apep awaited with fangs of darkness and coils of confusion. Every victory over Apep was not final because chaos never dies, it only retreats. That is the nature of Ra's strength, not in defeating chaos once, but in defeating it every single night, in rising again, in never surrendering to the pull of the void. Ra's kingship, then, was not one of conquest, but of guardianship. He stood as a sentinel between realms, ensuring that life could continue, that truth could survive, and that time itself would not collapse into oblivion. His crown was not just gold, it was fire. His throne not just celestial, it was responsibility. He did not destroy for pleasure, he judged for preservation. He did not roar with fury, he radiated with consistency. Temples built in his honor were not just places of worship, they were centers of cosmic recalibration. Priests aligned architecture with his solar path. Rituals timed themselves to his movements. Every stone, every shadow echoed his journey. His presence was so vast that even gods like Thoth and Horus deferred to him in matters of judgment. And yet, his greatest battle was always with what lay beneath, the unseen serpent, the whispering dark, the ever-returning threat of disorder. What makes Ra remarkable is not just his might, but his restraint. He could scorch the earth if he willed it. He could blind the unworthy, but he chose instead to rise gently, to nurture with light, to fight his fiercest battles in silence while the world slept. He was the god of second chances, of the sun that returns, even after the longest night. In a meeting with other gods, Ra would not speak first, but his presence would be felt. His eyes would see not just the surface, but the intention beneath it. If Ogun brings justice through raw force, and Shiva through transcendent dissolution, Ra brings justice through balance, through the unwavering insistence that life must make sense, that light must prevail, that every day must begin with a promise to try again. This is the God of order that never rests, the king who rises for all, the flame that neither boasts nor fades. And even as gods clash and cosmos tremble, Ra keeps sailing, holding the serpent at bay, so the world can have another dawn. Beneath the clang of iron and the roar of fire stands a god who does not dwell in the clouds or soar through cosmic skies, but walks among the people with a hammer in hand. Ogun, the Yoruba god of iron, war, and transformation, is not abstract. He is tangible. He lives in the tools that build and the blades that defend. He is present in every forge, every workshop, every battlefield. More than any other, Ogun bridges the spiritual and the material. He is both the spark and the steel. Ogun is the architect of civilization. Before roads were built, before empires rose, it was Ogun who cleared the path through the forest. Not just physically, but cosmically. His machete cut through chaos. His sweat laid the foundation for progress. As the blacksmith of the gods, he gave humanity the means to survive. Axes, plows, swords, all sacred under his domain. But his gift came with a demand, responsibility. Iron, in his eyes, is not just power, it is a covenant. To wield it without honor is to betray its divine origin. There is no Ogun without conflict, but his war is never senseless. He fights when truth is threatened, when injustice rises, when deception corrodes the moral spine of society. His battlefield is one of blood, yes, but also of principle. Ogun's justice is brutal, but it is clean. He does not plot in shadows. He does not strike from behind. His power is straightforward, direct, unapologetic. To oppose him is to face a god who looks you in the eye before delivering judgment. In Yoruba cosmology, Ogun is both feared and revered. He is the one you pray to before forging a weapon, before opening a new road, before going to war. But he is also the one you must never lie to. Ogun despises falsehood. In ancient times, oaths were taken over iron in his name. A lie sworn upon Ogun's metal was a death sentence, spiritually if not physically. His essence is truth in its rawest form, dangerous, untamed, but essential. His presence in ritual is intense. Offerings to Ogun are made with blood, usually from animals, symbolizing the seriousness of the covenant being made. His altars are not adorned with flowers, but with iron, liquor, and red cloth, elements of strength, fire, and sacrifice. He does not ask for devotion, he demands integrity. If you come to him for protection, you must first come clean. There is no sanctuary for liars in Ogun's forge. And yet, Ogun is not without mercy. He heals through the same force he uses to punish. As a blacksmith, he creates tools that can mend as well as kill. He teaches that power must be directed, that even destruction in the right hands can lead to renewal. His followers, the Ogboni and Iron Guilds, carry this duality. They are warriors and judges, smiths and sages. Their loyalty is not bought with words, but proven in action. To those who live by Ogun's code, there is no greater honor than truth. His worship continues across the Yoruba world, from Nigeria to the Caribbean, where he is still venerated in Candomblé, Santeria, and Vodun under different names but the same essence. In every incarnation, he is the god of the threshold, the one who breaks ground, who clears the way, who makes what was impossible into what is now necessary. If Ra brings the order of the sun and Shiva, the transcendence of destruction, Ogun brings the heat of the forge, the test. He is the god who asks, not what you believe, but what you are willing to bleed for. In a meeting with gods, he would not wait for introductions. He would test the metal of their words. He would ask, do you mean what you say? Will you stand by it, or will it melt when the fire rises? Ogun is not just a god of war. He is a god of foundation, of consequence, of the sacred bond between action and accountability. He reminds us that civilization is not born from comfort. It is hammered into shape. And that every tool, every weapon, every road carries his breath, his fire, his truth. Ogun does not bless the loudest voice. He blesses the hand that builds and the spirit that stands firm. This is Ogun, iron-willed, blood-bound, path-breaking. A god who walks with warriors, sleeps by the forge, and waits at every threshold where truth must pass or fail. There is a place where no map can lead you, a realm beyond time, where the boundaries between myth and memory dissolve. It is not heaven nor earth, but a crucible of power where gods may look into each other's eyes, without titles, without temples, without followers. In this space, the mountain rose tall and silent, wrapped in eternal snowfall. A sun hovered above it, unmoving yet blinding, its heat pulsing in waves of truth. And at the mountain's base, the ground rumbled with the steady ring of a hammer upon iron. This was the place, and they had arrived. Shiva stood at the summit, barefoot on the snow, unmoved by the wind. His matted locks coiled like serpents, his eyes half-lidded in eternal meditation. Ra burned just above the peak, his radiant form barely containable, a golden figure clad in flame and falcon gaze. His bark floated in silence, pulled not by oars but by will. Below them, Ogun emerged from the ground itself, covered in soot and sweat, his chest bare, his blade glowing red from the forge. The mountain, the sun, the forge. 3 realms, 3 truths. 1 meeting. None of them spoke at first. Words in this place were too small. The air trembled, the mountain crackled, the sun flared, and the anvil at Ogun's feet split in 2. It was not a challenge, it was recognition. They knew why they had come. Not for war, but for understanding. Not to destroy, but to test each other's essence. Ra was the first to break the silence. His voice did not echo, it burned. The world is order. Light must rise. Chaos must fall. That is my law. Shiva opened his third eye, not in wrath, but in clarity. The world is rhythm. What rises must fall. What begins must end. That is my dance. Ogun lifted his hammer, resting it against his shoulder. The world is labor. What is broken must be remade. What is false must be shattered. That is my code. The philosophies collided before the weapons ever did. Ra's solar presence stretched across the mountain, demanding discipline. Shiva's stillness absorbed it, revealing its impermanence. Ogun, unshaken, slammed his hammer into the earth, forging sparks that sang with prophecy. They had not yet moved, but the battle had begun. Ra launched first, his body expanding into a corona of searing light. Bolts of truth, raw, judgmental, struck toward the forge, seeking to cleanse, to expose. Ogun met them with his shield of iron, each impact ringing like a bell of war. He did not deflect with ease. He absorbed, reshaped. For every beam of light, a weapon emerged. Spears of fire-hardened metal, chains reforged into freedom, tools made from trial. Then came Shiva, not in noise but in motion. His Tandava shook the summit, sending waves of cosmic force spiraling across dimensions. Snow turned to vapor. Mountains cracked open. With each step, illusions dissolved. Ra's light flickered, temporarily distorted by truth too sharp even for the sun. Ogun braced himself, his stance wide, his forge glowing brighter. But Shiva did not strike them. He struck the rhythm, forcing the universe to reveal its pattern. Ra recovered, his bark descending, shedding solar feathers that became swords of flame. He did not strike wildly, he struck with purpose. Ogun met him head-on, their clash lighting the sky in streaks of red and gold. Sparks turned into galaxies. Blows echoed as thunder in distant worlds. Neither yielded. For each flame Ra cast, Ogun returned with tempered will. For each crack of hammer, Ra responded with searing judgment. Then Shiva entered the fray, not with anger, but with gravity. His presence folded time. His third eye opened fully. Silence dropped like a curtain. The mountain paused. The sun dimmed. The forge stilled. And for a single, eternal moment, the three stood suspended. Fire, light, and steel held in perfect tension. The metaphysical battle had no victor because it was not meant to be won. Ra could not burn away the mountain. Shiva could not dance away the forge. Ogun could not shatter the sun. They were not enemies, they were balances. Each revealed to the other what they lacked and what they feared. Ra feared dissolution. Ogun feared disorder. Shiva feared stagnation. And so the fire cooled. The light calmed. The dance slowed. It was Ogun who stepped forward first, extending a molten ingot shaped into a blade, not to threaten but to offer. Ra touched it, infusing it with solar flame. Shiva traced his finger along the edge, blessing it with time. The blade shimmered, not as a weapon but as a symbol. Creation, judgment, destruction, all forged into one. This was not a battle, it was alignment. They had not come to fight each other, they had come to test themselves, to sharpen their essence against contrast, to remember that even gods must evolve. As they stood in that place beyond time, the mountain grew taller, the sun shone steadier, and the forge burned deeper. They did not speak again. They did not need to. The world had witnessed. The myth had unfolded. And somewhere, far below in the realm of mortals, someone awoke from a dream with fire in their heart, light in their mind, and iron in their spine. A memory of gods who met not to conquer, but to remind the universe of its sacred balance. What did the gods truly fight for? It wasn't dominance, it wasn't vengeance. Their clash was not about who was strongest, but what was most necessary. Beneath every blow, every surge of power was a deeper inquiry. What does the universe need most to survive? Is it clarity and order? Is it motion and transformation? Is it strength and resilience? Their battle was not an attempt to extinguish the other. It was a confrontation of necessity, a cosmic debate acted out in flame, metal, and silence. Ra fought for the sun, for light, for the principle that without order, creation cannot stand. To him, chaos is not just an enemy, it is an existential threat. His strikes were not just attacks, they were statements. That truth must shine, that justice must illuminate, that time must be guarded like fire. His presence reminded the others that without structure, even the gods dissolve into irrelevance. Shiva fought for the void within form, the renewal within destruction. He danced not to end, but to reset. His steps shattered illusion, swept away stagnation, and opened the way for what comes next. He did not fear endings because he understood they were beginnings in disguise. His presence insisted that no matter how radiant or strong a thing becomes, it must fall, and in its fall, something truer can rise. Ogun fought for the path, for progress that is earned through effort. His forge was the crucible where light and destruction must pass to become real. He stood for the principle that power must be built, not inherited, that justice must be forged, not imagined. His role was to take the raw truths offered by Ra and Shiva and hammer them into something usable. In their battle, the gods didn't seek victory, they sought balance. What is divinity if not a mirror of our highest truths? Shiva, Ra, and Ogun are more than myths etched into ancient stone or sung in sacred chants. They are reflections of the forces we still wrestle with: transformation, order, and strength. Their meeting, though imagined, reveals something real. That divinity is not perfection, it is function. It is the role each sacred force plays in keeping the universe and ourselves alive and aligned. These gods did not meet to destroy one another. They met to hold up their truths, like fire to the sky, illuminating the paths we walk every day, knowingly or not. Each god leaves us with a lesson. Shiva teaches that endings are not to be feared, but embraced. That sometimes the most sacred act is to let go, to allow the old to fall away so something new can rise. Ra teaches us that light must be maintained, that truth and structure are not self-sustaining. They require vigilance. Without the daily battle against chaos, order fades. And Ogun reminds us that nothing is granted freely. All things, whether peace, freedom, or power, must be forged with effort, with discipline, and with truth. In their meeting, we find the spiritual architecture of our own lives. The mountain we climb, the sun we follow, the forge we endure. These gods live within us, waiting to be invoked, not to fight one another, but to guide us in different moments. There are times when you need the silence of Shiva, times when you need the clarity of Ra, times when you need the fire of Ogun, and wisdom is knowing which to call. Now we ask you, who speaks to you most? Whose story did you carry into your heart? Was it Shiva's calm destruction, Ra's blazing order, or Ogun's relentless grind toward justice? Drop a comment below and let us know. Share your God, share your truth, share what this meeting revealed to you. Like, subscribe, and pass this story forward, not as content, but as a call to remember that the gods are not gone. They are waiting in our questions, our choices, our courage. Thank you for walking this path with us. May you walk it with fire, light, and strength.